Well, let's start today off with a smile. Navigating the notes online versus in-person teaching. Which one works best for you? We're going to explore the pros and the cons because it's really, it can have an incredible impact on your teaching and on your teaching business success. So welcome, our esteemed educators and aspiring maestros to another episode of the Ultimate Music Teachers Live Show. I'm your host, Glory St. Germain, and joined by my co-host and the ever inspiring, delightful, and comic, Joanne Barker. Teaching online versus in person. That's a big topic, right, Joanne?
It is, Glory. Today's episode strikes a chord with every music teacher out there as we explore the crescendos and the diminuendos of teaching online versus teaching in person. And of course, one of my personal favorites, the hybrid option.
Yep. We love to jazz that up. I think one of the things to remember is that we're here to empower you, to encourage you, and to uplift others through music. So I want to dive in with you today as Joanne and I are sharing sort of the symphony of today's topic, which is teaching online, the digital concerto, let's call it. So in the chat, share if you are teaching online and what you love about it as we explore these options. Ready, Joanne?
Yes. We're living on this brand new form, this digital stage that we all kind of got thrown into. And teaching online has been a real game changer for many. So let's talk about the three pros. For me, the number one thing I think teachers experience is the flexibility. You can teach from anywhere and manage your schedule like a maestro managing the tempos with the band. You just wave your baton or you click your mouse and you make a change, right? It's awesome.
Yeah, it's so true, Joanne. And I think pro number two is access a wider audience, reach students on a global level and expand your teaching studio beyond just the geographical limits of where you are. So just imagine your music is influencing students all around the world.
Incredible. Isn't that great? You can teach them anywhere. You may not want to get up at 3 a.m. to do it, but hey, maybe you do it. The options are endless. And, I think number 3 would be the innovative teaching tools we have available to us now. There's online platforms that have a plethora of resources and apps. The Ultimate Music Theory Teachers membership. I happen to make some great online games that are in there, and the students really love them. They're so engaging. And the nice thing is, if you go away on a trip, you don't have to carry them with you. They're right in your computer. It's like having a musical magical library right at your fingertips.
Ooh, I like that musical magical library, Joanne. I think too that I'm going to do a bonus tip here. And the bonus pro is getting to see inside your students' practice space. Our parents watching TV in the living room while their student is trying to practice, it gives us a look inside their environment. And we even get to meet their pets sometimes, the dogs or the cats go walking by. So we can understand a little bit better about the relationships that they're having with their parents while they're trying to practice. We can connect better with parents, but let's not forget about the cons. I think the number one thing when teaching online is technical challenges, right? From internet hiccups to software glitches. Sometimes technology conducts its own little unpredictable symphony.
That is so true. What I like to say with my students when I see them in their home environment is I'm seeing them in their natural habitat.
Yeah.
As much as it's harder, some people might feel it's harder to correct positioning. There's where they're practicing most of the time. So we can address those little things. And the technical aspect is really, really true. And as we were saying with that, the con of not being able to see them in person to correct their hand position, what I find is happening now is they're becoming better listeners, and we're able to maybe explain it in a different way. So that con, while it's a con that we're not there to go over and maybe show them, there's still ways that we can work around it. It's like when we first started teaching, we kind of didn't know what we were doing. We're entering this new world. So it takes a different kind of mindset. You want a definite growth and learning mindset to do it. But we want to be able to learn to adapt to that. So it's not like tuning an instrument without touching it. We want to be able to give them the words, give them the tools through our words, and, physical demonstrations, having the camera turn to the piano so you can show them things like that, right?
Yeah. So what would be your con number 2? Probably be a lack of physical.
Yeah, I think for some people that is a real struggle to not be in the same space as the student. So it's a
Right.
learning curve you have to get past, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think con number 3 would be engagement issues. Keeping students motivated online, it requires creativity and energy, and it's akin to performing to an audience that's not really physically present. And I think many times parents, they turn on the computer, they walk away, they just leave the student there to fend for themselves, and they have to figure out all the tech stuff. So or sometimes even helping or even acknowledging that the teacher's in the room. So I think there's a lot that we need to think about when we're teaching online. So share in the chat, what issues have you found teaching online and how have you overcome these issues? So we really want to think about that's sort of the pros and cons of online. So let's explore the teaching in person. This is sort of the traditional ensemble, right, Joanne?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, moving to the more traditional aspect, the teaching in person, it has its own unique rhythm. First of all, you get that immediate feedback. You're in the room with them, right? There's those really tactile and kinesthetic learners who need to be around you. Some kids aren't as visual, so they don't maybe respond as well to the online place, so they're better in person. And although there's ways to overcome that. Can you tell I'm a fan of online? Mm-hmm. I think that it's great to be able to be in the room with them, and it's maybe a bit better and easier to build that rapport, which is really important with our students. So we want to be able to turn the page for them if necessary, and so we can see their whole physiology and not just what we're seeing on the camera, right? So the best combination would be both.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a really good pro is being present, being able to, like you said, Joanne, turn the page if we need to, seeing their full, physiology. So the second pro would be the personal connection. And there is honestly a really special bond that forms when you're in the same room with someone. It's the harmony between the teacher and the student. It's really hard to replicate sometimes. It's that direct eye contact. Sometimes it's a high five. It might be a hug. It might be putting a sticker on their book. So that's my pro number 2. What you got for number 3, Joanne?
Number 3 would be the hands-on learning, from figure placement to breathing techniques. In-person lessons lets for that direct physical guidance, making it easier to fine-tune skills. And you might want to be playing physical board games with them, things like that. You can do that online, but when they're moving the little game token on the game themselves, it's a little more engaging for them for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think another pro bonus is honestly being fully present. When we're teaching in person, there's no distractions. It's a quiet place that's dedicated to learning without interruption. However, there are the cons as well. So first, you have a limited reach, right? Within your area where you're teaching, your audience is restricted to those who can physically attend your studio. And that's kind of reducing your potential student base because you're limited to, who can drive over kind of thing, right?
Exactly. They're not going to drive 4 hours every week. Although I've heard of people who've driven, 2 hours to get to a particular teacher. So it is possible, but that's not the average client, right? We need to think about our community so they can get to us. I think the second con with in-person are the scheduling constraints, right? Juggling studio space and time slots can be like orchestrating a very complicated symphony.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a very real struggle, Joanne. Is scheduling. And I think the third con in teaching in person is health concerns. Recent times have shown us that in-person gatherings come with their own set of skills, right? Requiring careful consideration. I mean, we don't want to get other people sick. And if you or your student is sick, then they need to reschedule or they're going to miss a lesson. And that can lead to a loss in income for you without having a policy in place that you can actually adhere to, because sometimes we all say, I got a policy, but it doesn't always work, right? So I invite you, I'm curious, share in the chat, what issues have you found in teaching in person that are maybe complicated or you've struggled with? And what have you done to overcome these issues? Because it's really about sharing and helping each other as like-minded music teachers here. So I'm curious to see what that is for you. Now, this brings us to the magic of the hybrid harmony. Ooh, this is the best of both worlds. And I know you shine brightly over here, Joanne.
I just love the hybrid option. I have one little girl, I've never taught her in person. Another girl, her older sister, I haven't taught her in person since March 2020, but she keeps coming to the classes because they moved away and they're staying with me, right? And I know another fellow teacher, Ginny, who moved from North Bay, Ontario down to close to where I am in Southern Ontario, North Bay. So the hybrid option is really there. I've got families every week who attend online. They'll get an email saying they're coming online tonight, not for the group class because they're not feeling well. I had one with a little issue, shall we say? And she's been online for 2 weeks now. And don't we appreciate that when they are dealing with something like in their house? It's great that they can come online and not miss the lesson. Yep. And more importantly, even if you've got the policy that you don't do makeups, it's the momentum for that child that's not missed. So the hybrid pros are flexibility and reaching more students and personal connection with safety and the diverse teaching methods and the ability that we can maintain momentum.
Yeah, it's so true. I love the hybrid option. Absolutely. I mean, it's kind of like being the conductor of your own teaching symphony, right? Choosing which instruments or methods are working best for you, or choosing each piece, or each student. Like, I can teach this student online because they're too far away to come to the lesson, or I can teach this student online because and I know you've done a hybrid fancy schmancy thing where you actually have students that are online while having students in the studio. And that's really a win-win because you've got students in the studio and maybe those that are sick or not able to come, they can still be part of the group. So it's definitely a win-win, Joanne.
It's definitely a win-win. The one student, first class Monday night, his younger sister comes to class at 5:45, but his class is 4:45 and they live a half an hour away. Right. So he comes online every week and the mom brings the younger child to the class. So without that, I wouldn't have him in class. So it definitely requires a bit of a learning curve. Yeah. Although now that I've been doing it online for 4 years, I feel it's like just teaching a group class. It feels very natural, but nothing feels natural when we just get started, does it? So we need to learn to balance our schedules, and we want to be able to integrate the different tools we have. And don't think that you have to bring everything all at once. Build slowly, right? You can start off small and add in. You don't need all the tricks and the tools and the games and the stuff. The Ultimate Music Theory Teachers Membership has everything in one spot for you, so you don't have to go hunting. And just the KISS method. Keep it super silly simple when you're getting started.
Yeah, absolutely, Joanne. And I think you're right. Sometimes we're overwhelmed with everything and we're like, I don't know, what should I do? And we see so-and-so doing it so well and so-and-so doing this so well. And we kind of just do that comparison thing like, well, I don't know if I can do it. So I love that you said, use the KISS method, keep it super simple and just do one thing. What serves you, and as we conclude today's episode, I want to invite our educators that are listening today to just remember that whether you're teaching online, whether you're teaching in person, or whether you're doing a little bit of mix of both, the ultimate goal is to enrich lives through music education.
Exactly. And if you're looking to fine tune your teaching business, whether that's the business aspect or the teaching aspect, and particularly if you're really not sure about teaching music theory confidently, you need to join us inside the Ultimate Music Theory Teachers Membership at teachumt.com. Let me say that again, teachumt.com. You can learn, plan, teach, and grow your music teaching business with courses, community, and coaching. And you don't have to do it all alone. And it's really wonderful to surround yourself with like-minded people who are willing to share their ideas. It's not a matter of keeping their light under their bushel. It's a matter of sharing ideas and supporting each other.
Yeah, 100%, Joanne. We do love our Ultimate Music Teachers community. And with that, we bid you adieu. Thanks for joining Joanne and I today. So keep the music playing and keep your spirits high. And remember to connect with us inside the Ultimate Music Teachers Membership at teachumt.com. Till next time, teach with passion and keep making those musical minds